that that microphones work best when they're turned on. So, you know, nothing like a good old-fashioned user error, like forgot to turn the electronic on. So I'm going to say Shabbat Shalom and welcome to anyone who is joining us now on YouTube. Hello. There's always one or two. And Shabbat Shalom to everybody here in the room and on Zoom. And it is 7:30, so let's begin. And we'll start with a little bit of singing, and then we'll light our Shabbat candles as we welcome Shabbat together. Let's open with Shalom Alechem. And I've been using a fast, upbeat tune recently. So if you've been to shul the last several weeks, you may have heard it. If not, it is very easy to catch on to. And yes, I know I am breaking the first rule of all rabbis and synagogues, and that's don't change the tune to Shalom Alechem. But I promise it's an attested melody. I learned it from someone else. No, just kidding. Page 13. Shalom Alechem, Malachei Hasharetz, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Alechem, Malachei Hasharetz, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ay, ay, ay. Shalom Alechem, Malachei Hasharetz, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, B'melech, Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu ni l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, B'melech, Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ay, ay, ay. Tzeitchem l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Below the line on page 12, beautiful reading to accompany Shalom Alechem from Rabbi Rami Shapiro. Hey, Shabbat Shalom. Angels are another name for feelings. When we love and act with kindness, we create angels of love and kindness. When we hate and act with violence, we create angels of hatred and violence. It is our job to fill the world with angels of love, messengers of kindness that link people together as one family. Lifting up the fact that in the Hebrew, the word for messenger is the same word as the word for angel. They're all malachim. And so the intention that we bring into the world, into every interaction, into every discussion, into every moment that we refrain from interaction, perhaps, we make manifest malachim, messengers that linger and have a life outside of that moment. And there's a teaching that on Shabbat, we welcome in a neshama yetera, an extra additional soul piece that dwells with us during these 25 hours of rest. That there is something cosmically connected, right, that hangs out with each and every one of us. And that too, perhaps, is one of those Malachei HaShalom, messengers of peace, that we in this final verse of Shalom Alechem say, Tzeitchem l'shalom, go in peace. And when we allow that little piece of soul that helps us rest, that helps us exhale at the end of a long week, it goes back up and out to hang out with all those other pieces of rest-enabling soul. And so perhaps we also send out with that piece of something bigger than us, a messenger filled with the intention that we brought to these 25 hours of Shabbat. So as we light our candles, the bracha is on page 5. And before we say our bracha, our blessing, we bring in the light. Let's also say Shalom Alechem.
Shalom Alechem.
May peace be upon you. Boachem l'shalom. Come to us in peace. Barchuni l'shalom. Bless us with that peace of rest. And Seitchem l'shalom. Go in peace as a messenger of peace. And think about the intention that we bring to this day of rest, the end of whatever week we've had. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Yadaranai dai dai, yadaranai dai dai, yadaranai dai dai dai. Yadaranai dai dai, 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 yadaranai dai, yadaranai dai, yadaranai dai dai, yadaranai dai dai, yadaranai dai, yadaranai dai. Page 7. Yedid nefesh av harachaman Mishoch avdecha el retzonecha yarutz avdecha kemo ayal yishtachaveh el mul hadarecha teravlo yedidutecha mino fetzuf vechol tamay yadaranai nai nai 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 yadaranai nai yadaranai nai yadaranai nai yadaranai nai yadaranai nai. The last verse. Higalena ufros chavivi alai atzukat shelomecha ta'ir eretz michvodecha Nagila v'nismechavach ma'er ahuv kiva moed v'choneinu ki me'olam yadaranai nai nai 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 yadaranai nai yadaranai nai yadaranai nai nai yadaranai nai nai yadaranai. Page 21. Lechun eranena l'Adonai Nariya letzor yishenu Nikad mafanav betoda Bizmirot nariya lo Ki el gadol Adonai umelech gadol koin. Arbaim shana kut bedor va'omaram toei levavhem vehem lo yadu drachai asher nishbati be'api im yavon el menuchati. Page 25. Shiru l'Adonai, Shir Hadash, Shiru l'Adonai, Kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Baseru miyom leyom Yeshuato, Shiru l'Adonai, Shir Hadash, Shiru l'Adonai, Kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Baseru miyom leyom Yeshuato, Baseru miyom leyom Yeshuato. Shabbat Shalom. So I want to take a second to bring together this community online, on site, right, in all sorts of different spots, and to just give people a second to say hello to one another as we greet Shabbat this evening with Kabbalah Shabbat. We also take a moment for Kabbalah Panim, greeting each other's faces. So if you're in the room, introduce yourselves to one another, maybe say your names out loud. If you're on Zoom, you can either unmute and say your name out loud, or better yet, put your name in the chat so that we can all see it. And so we can get a sense of who's here together tonight and where you're joining us from. If you're at home, if you're joining us from afar, if you're on vacation, if you're not driving right now, whatever it is that brings you here tonight, I'm noticing that this is one of those beautiful nights where neither on Zoom alone or in the room alone do we have a minyan. We are only a minyan together. And there's something incredible about building community together across space. We talk a lot about like, oh, are you coming in person? And I said this a lot during the beginning of the pandemic, but I want to like double down now that we're like truly like in this hybrid moment, in a really real way, that being here in person means being here in real time. Not going back and watching a recording of a service on YouTube at your own convenience, right? Like, being here in person means being here synchronously, wherever it is you are physically positioned, right? Whether you're down the shore at a beach house, whether you're visiting an aging parent, whether you're helping to care for a young child that you are adjacent to in your life somehow, whether you are at home and it is not possible for you to come out, or whether you're at home and it is possible for you to come out, but it's lovely to sit on the sofa and be together in a comfortable place and connect to community, or whether you're right here and you get the benefit of not having to bring your own oneg. That there's something amazing about all being here together. So as we turn together to Lecha Dodi, page 41, we greet the Shabbat as we greet a beloved, and we also look around and see all of one another's faces. We make eye contact. We say, hi, we're here together. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Woo! Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. La 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 la. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Woo! Lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmianu el ha'meyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litchila la 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 la, lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Woo! Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene pene Shabbat nekabela. Top of page 43. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nilcha, ki hi mekor haberacha, merosh mikadem nesucha. Sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila la 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 la, lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene pene Shabbat nekabela. Woo! Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene pene Shabbat nekabela. Top of 45. Hitoreri. Kiva orech kumi uri shir daberi. Kevod Adonai alayich nigla la 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 lecha lecha dodi likrat kala pene pene Shabbat nekabela. Woo! Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala pene pene Shabbat nekabela. We're on the top of page 47. Yaminu smol tifrotzi v'et Adonai ta'aritzi al yadi ishpen partzi v'nismecha v'nagi la 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 lecha lecha dodi likrat kala pene pene Shabbat nekabela. Woo! Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala pene pene Shabbat nekabela. And we rise as we face the entrance to greet the Shabbat bride. Bohi v'shalom ateret bala, gam besimcha v'tzochola, doch emuneim segula, bohi chala, la 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 lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Woo! Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekavela. We can be seated. Page 49. Mizmor shir lehom haShabbat, tov lehodod lahadonai. Ulezamer leshimcha elyon, ulezamer leshimcha elyon, lehagid baboker chastecha, ve'emunatecha balelot, alei asur ve'alei navel, alei higayon bechinor, mizmor shir leyom haShabbat, tov lehodod lahadonai, ulezamer leshimcha elyon, ulezamer leshimcha elyon, ki semachtani Adonai b'foalecha, b'maaseh yadecha haranein. Ma gadlu ma'asecha Adonai me'od amku machshevotecha. Mizmor shir lehom haShabbat, tov lehodod lahadonai, ulezamer leshimcha elyon, ulezamer leshimcha elyon. Page 51 at the asterisk. Tzadik katamar yifrach, keres balevanon yiske, shetulim bevet Adonai, bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu, od yenuvon beseva, deshenim vera'ananim yehiyu lehagid, ki ashar Adonai tzuri velo avlatavo. Page 55, we turn the corner between Kabbalah Shabbat, our introductory service of Psalms and Piyutim, to warm us up, to welcome in Shabbat into our Mariv service, our service for the evening, with the Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach chirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, bagala u'vizman kari ve'imeru, Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach, le'olam ulal me'almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitchomam v'yitaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shemei dekudesha brichu le'la min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma ve'imeru. Amen. When we rise in spirit or in body for the Baruch Hu. And can someone watch for me in case Rhoda Gansler or someone else comes back into the waiting room? Because it seems like Rhoda got booted, and so I'm aware that I might miss a waiting room. So just like, make me a W sign for waiting room. Darcy, I'm putting you on it. There you go. That way we can all just be fully present. For Baruch Hu on page 57. As we bless the source of life, so we are blessed. As we bless the source of life, so we are blessed. And the blessing gives us strength and makes our vision clear. And the blessing gives us peace and the courage to dare. As we bless the source of life, so we are blessed. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. We can be seated. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro mariv haravim b'chokhmah poteach sharim v'una mishaneh yitim. Below the line on page 58, a reflection on Or, Choshech, Or, light, dark, light. The words roll into each other just as day rolls into night. They are not separate realms. They mix together. God rules both light and darkness, and Bain, in between, related to Binah and Tevunah, understanding. Wisdom is the ability to distinguish between things, to make sense out of confusion. And I think that if this Siddur were written about 15 years later, I'm totally putting words into Levi Weiner-Kalman's mouth here, but I might imagine that he might have ended with, wisdom is the ability to distinguish between things, to make sense out of confusion, like to free oneself from binaries, right? There is not light and darkness. There is not Or and Choshech. There's Bain, between. And Mariv Aravim is about embracing the twilight that brings together night and day. Because we as Jews are people of liminal spaces. We are people who dwell betwixt and between, right? Whether it's Louis Brandeis in the 1940s standing up for Jews as he was talking in the 20s. There we go. Jews and a hope towards Zion, and not being a dual loyalty people, that American Jews are Americans and also we are Jews, and those two things are not in conflict. Or whether it is freeing ourselves, or whether it is dwelling in middle places like lighting candles, marking one day beginning and another day ending, right? We don't start the day with sunrise and end with sunset. We start the day with sunset the night before and move through all of the different cycles until we greet the new day as the sun goes down. We dwell in liminal spaces when we welcome people to the Torah as adults for the first time by calling them by their Hebrew name, responding for the first time, Amen, to their blessing, right? At the beginning of the service to the end of the service, we mark a status change. The same thing when people walk beneath a chuppah, right? That fragile, open space that we welcome them into, where a status change occurs before our very eyes. We love to mark liminal spaces and live in them and dwell in them and notice them, and not just go from A to B, but really parse what exists in between A and B. And so every time we welcome the new day by allowing light to roll into darkness and darkness into light, we lift up the things that are betwixt and between the edges of binaries in our lives. Because we know that there's not just 0 and 1. There's a whole range in between. So following that bracha about the inmixing of light and dark, we have a great love that surrounds us, Ahava Rabbah, page 63. I'm sorry, Ahavat Olam, page 63. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Havta, Amcha Havta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta, al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shochveinu v'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei toratecha uv'mitzvotecha leolam va'ed ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu Uvahem nehege yomam v'layla, nehege yomam v'layla, ve'ahavatecha lo tasur, mimenu le'olamim, baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael, ohev amo Yisrael. Page 65, the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta baham b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech uv'shoch becha uv'kumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, והיה עם שמוע תשמעו מצוותיי שנוחים מצווך. We continue silently with one of the two biblical selections that follows. Adonai Elohechem Emet, page 77 at the very bottom, and page 79. Umalchuto beratzon kiblu alehem Moshe uMiriam uvnei Yisrael lechanu shira b'simcha rabba ve'ameru chulam, page 79. Micha mocha, micha mocha, micha mocha, micha mocha, micha mocha, micha mocha va'elim Adonai Mikamocha, Mikamocha, hoy Mikamocha, 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 Nedar Bakodesh, Nora Tehilot, Ose Vele, Nora Tehilot, Ose Vele. Malchutecha rauvanecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe ze'eli anu ve'ameru Adonai imloch leholam va'ed Adonai imloch leholam va'ed Kifad Adonai et Yaakov, ugealo miad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. Page 83, below the line. I want to invite us to read together the poem at the very bottom of the page. Together. When fears multiply and danger threatens, when sickness comes, when death confronts us, it is God's blessing of shalom that sustains us and upholds us, lightening our burden, dispelling our worry, restoring our strength, renewing our hope, reviving us. Page 81, transliteration on page 83. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Ushmor tzeitenu vo'enu l'chaim u'l'shalom me'ata ve'ad olam u'fros aleinu sukat shlomecha Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'al Yerushalayim. We rise in spirit or in body on page 85 as we welcome in Shabbat with biblical verses in song. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית olam. And we remain just like this as we turn to page 91 for the Amidah, recited silently in the evenings, giving us time to enter into this central portion of our prayer, either silently with the words in our Siddur in Hebrew or in English, with the commentary below the line or towards the back of the book, or with the prayers of our own heart at our own pace and in our own way. We'll begin together out loud with this first line as an intention in song, and then we'll enter into our silent prayer. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Open my lips, Adonai, and let my mouth declare your praise. Use shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ועל כל יושבי תבל יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imeru. Amen. Shabbat Shalom. So we're going to take a second and turn to our Mishaberach L'cholim, our prayer for healing and wholeness. The words can be found on the inside cover of your Siddur, because as I like to say, there's a reason we're called people of the book and not people of the off book. That we do, in fact, commit things to memory over time, but we never have to. So we turn from our innermost silent prayer, the silent Amidah in the evening, to a very public-facing moment where we read the names and mention the names of all of those in our lives for whom we're thinking, about whom we're thinking for healing and for wholeness. It's kind of a community bulletin board kind of a moment, right, where we not only put our energy out into the universe as a prayer for healing, but also sort of as an announcement to ourselves and others, right? Putting in front of us the intention to do things to help that person, maybe just ourselves, on that healing journey, healing of body, healing of mind, healing of spirit. So I want to invite you to share either out loud or in a chat if that's something you have in front of you, or just with your mouth if that's something you have in front of you, as my eyes meet yours, the names of anyone you're thinking of tonight. So this morning, try again. This evening, speaking of times rolling into one another, this evening we're thinking of and setting our hopes and our energy for healing and wholeness to Andrea Abrams-Herbert, James Alberts, Fran Anderson, Roberta Archibald, Arden, Barry and Carol Mueller-Bell, Rabbi Deborah Bowen, Robin Kupo, Frankie Deaver, Faye Fishman, Marcy Fish, Joan Flaherty, Rhoda Gansler, Joaquim Gabel, Eric Gershman, Jonathan Giannini, Cordula Hamish, Chava Hurley, Sharon Cass, Moss Kaufman, Beverly and Howard Kaufman, Fran Kaufman, Dr. Joy Layden, Robert Mueller, Anthony Nero, Lisa Nicholson, Stan Pollock, Abby Rosenberg, Mike Rosenberg, Shelley Sanders, Marlene Sortino, Howard Temple, Lynn Van Engel, Brandy Wazliewski, Stan Weckstein, Millie Weissman, Grace Zangwell, Eileen Zeff, and Sandy Roberts, Lynn Wilf, Rob Johnson, Doug Proudman, John Warner, Jules Mermelstein, Fran Anderson, and Dorothy Berlin. Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. We turn from our prayer for healing and wholeness to our prayer of lifting up and sanctifying the joy of Shabbat, the Kiddush, right, where our cup is filled almost to overflowing with the sweetness of our Kiddush wine or grape juice, and also with the sweetness of blessing that we bring into the Shabbat. And so it's become our tradition at Or Hadash to invite people who are celebrating something to shout out, to share what they're celebrating, so that we can add a little bit of their sweetness, all of our sweetness to this cup, and lift it up for Or L'chaim. So is there anyone who's celebrating anything? Woo! Darcy coming back from Israel safely! Woo! Other things we're celebrating. Birthdays, anniversaries, journal publications, graduations, acceptances. Yes? Wait, your experiment just caused big grants to be funded? Mazal tov. That is definitely a l'chaim. A l'chaim worthy moment. Woo! Nice. So we hold up this glass full of joy and simcha as we rise in spirit or in body for Kiddush on page 119. We shout out a big one. Savrei chaverai l'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim ki elenu karata ve'otanu kidashta la'avodatecha ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat L'chaim L'chaim. And we remain in just this position as we turn to page 121 for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shaveach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שנתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ועושה את הארץ ומשה ויקרוש. ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. We can be seated. So we turn to page 131 for Mourner's Kaddish. We also turn in our hearts and our memories to those whom we've loved and lost in recent days and weeks. This week, we marked the passing of Lloyd Suter, brother-in-law of Sandy Saul and Steve Lieberstein. Sandy is still with her sister in Michigan. Lloyd's funeral was yesterday, and she'll be there through the end of the weekend, and then she'll return. There's no formal shiva here in Philadelphia for Lloyd, but I'm sure that Sandy would appreciate any calls, following the passing of her brother-in-law. And also, at this season in years past, we mark this week the yortzites of Evelyn Mendelsohn, mother of Philip Mendelsohn, Branya Rozlovsky, my grandmother, Loretta Fogel, friend of Michelle Smithman and former member of our congregation, Elizabeth Carlin, mother of Jessica Fireman, Abud Franco, grandfather of Meryl Stern. And then this week on Friday, since there isn't a Friday night service next week, we also read the names of those who are whose yortzites fall in the week to come. After that, Harry Mermelstein, father of Jules Mermelstein, Fred Goldstein, father of Larry Stern, James Marmion, father of Jim Marmion, Shirley Hers, cousin of Jeff Alper, and Morton Mandel, father-in-law of Peggy Mandel. And if there's anyone who's saying Kaddish, for anyone whose name is not on the list this week, or who's just sitting in your hearts tonight, I want to invite you to share their names as well. Okay. Jack Gantman. Thanks. So I want to invite mourners and those observing a yortzeit to rise in spirit or in body for mourners Kaddish, along with those whose tradition it is to rise for Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'alam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitchomam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shemei dekudsha, brichu le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru. Amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing for all of us. So Shabbat Shalom. A couple of quick messages. It is the summertime, so it is what we call the slow season here at Or Hadash, as we are off on things like vacations and teen travel experiences and camp and outdoor dining and all kinds of things that come along with the summertime. Poolside Shabbat dinners, backyard barbecues, right? So thank you all, everyone this week for noticing in the Hakesher that this is that weird double Friday night, right? We're off, then on, then off, then on, then on, then on, then off, then on, right? So that we can be appropriately off for Labor Day weekend. This was the double. So next week there is no Friday night service. There is next Saturday morning, as tomorrow morning and every Shabbat morning throughout the summer, Torah study at 9 o'clock, bagels at 8:45, Torah study at 9 o'clock, service at 10 o'clock. This summer we are outside on the front patio for Shabbat mornings. We're doing Shabbat mornings al fresco this year. However, last week, due to excessive heat, we did sort of, with the same windows open, just go into the community room for the service. We flipped to the other side of the wall for the service. So at the discretion of the extreme heat warnings, but it should be okay tomorrow morning. So tomorrow morning out on the patio and every Shabbat morning. This coming week is the first week of the month, which means that it's the 12-step Chavarah. But this month, August, and this month only, due to a fluke of the calendar, the 12-step Chavurah will meet on Monday evening, August 1st, at 7:30 p.m. on Zoom, rather than Wednesday. In September, they'll go back to Wednesdays. So do flip the date if you're a 12-step Chavurah person. Saturday night, August 6th, is Erev Tisha B'Av. We will have our annual Tisha B'Av observance here at Or Hadash. It will be hybrid, so there will be a Zoom link that will go out in the daily links, and for those who are here on site at the building, we will be outside in the Life Cycle Garden. So not in the community room, a nice, lovely change of venue. And so if you're at home, BYO Yortzeit candle. If you're not at home, we'll have the Yortzeit candles. But it'll be a lovely evening, and I believe that there is one English reading left. If you would like a reading part, whether from home or from the Life Cycle Garden, please be in touch with Jeff Chebbett to claim the last English reading in our Tisha B'Av observance. I believe that the service that the program that evening begins at 8:30 p.m. and does include Havdalah. Also, the high holiday mailings and the membership mailings have both gone home with things to post on the fridge and also things to send back. Specifically, obviously, membership mailing. Mail back your membership materials. Also, mail back your dues adjustment requests. Finances should never be a barrier to membership and continuing membership at Or Hadash, and we know that things change for every person every year, so please do be in contact. We have like a double-blind process around that, so we look forward to getting everyone's membership materials back. And then in the high holiday mailing, Yisker book forms, but just as importantly, volunteer forms for lifting and wrapping the Torah on the high holidays, for volunteering as a parking helper or a greeter or a Zoom waiting room enterer, or for English readings in the service. Please return your volunteer sheets for the high holidays. We have a communal participatory tradition to our high holiday services, and it's so wonderful and lovely, and we hope that everyone's voice is a part of our service. And then also the gift of the hand form went home in the high holiday mailings. Gift of the hand is one of the ways that we really maintain our vibrancy at Or Hadash. We are not asking for money. We are asking for how you want to commit to being an active part of this community with things that you do for this community. Are you someone who loves to cook Shabbat dinners for people who are going through health challenges? Are you someone who likes to go shopping for onegs? Are you someone who likes to collate papers? Are you someone who likes to weed in the garden and help our facility to be beautiful? Are you someone who is amazing with woodwork and can help restore our fabulous building? Do you love serving on committees or planning social events, right? All kinds of things. Are you someone who wants to be a mensch-to-mensch mentor and help out our B'nai Mitzvah kids and pre-B'nai Mitzvah kids with their prayers, right? How do we continue to connect and reconnect at Or Hadash? And I think especially this year, as we're all sort of coming back together out of the height of COVID-19, we all, I think, are thinking about sort of how have our priorities shifted, and who am I now, and how do I now connect to community in all these different ways? And so perhaps this year's Gift of the Hand form is a really wonderful and exciting moment to do some of that awesome values clarification for all of ourselves. So I want to invite you to spend some time with that form and then get it back to us, and as we all rededicate ourselves to this amazing community in the coming year. I think that those are all of my messages for now. No, I'll announce it now. Why not? It hasn't been announced yet, but starting at the beginning of the month of Elul, which is in like mid to late August, and going through the end of the high holiday season, so going through about Simchat Torah, I'm going to be doing, and Don't tell Stu and Sue Rosenthal that it's a book group, because it's not a book group. I'm not stepping on their toes, I promise. I am going to be doing a weekly reading and reflecting together, read through processing journey, not a book club. Inviting people to read and process together Rabbi Toba Spitzer's new book, God is Here. She's a Reconstructionist rabbi from who serves a congregation in Newton, Massachusetts, and just this spring published a book about thinking about contemporary new metaphors for God. And it's a really wonderful, fabulous read and a great piece of contemporary liberal theology. And so I'm excited about going through with folks a journey through this book, and perhaps through ourselves and our connection to the divine. And so that's going to be once a week, and it's going to take us through Elul and through most of the month of Tishrei as we turn the corner into the year. I'm still deciding whether it's going to be an evening thing or a lunch and learn thing. If you're here and you have a strong preference, please let me know, because I'll probably be deciding like this week whether it's going to be like a lunchtime thing on a weekday or whether it's going to be like an evening thing on a weekday. So let me know if you have a strong preference. All right, now those really are all the announcements fit to give. So, let's conclude with Adon Olam and Hamotzi, page 133. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra li'et nasa b'chefso kol azai melech shemo nikra azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora ve'hu haya ve'hu hove ve'hu yihye betifara ve'hu yihye betifara ve'hu echad v'yein sheni lehamshilo lehachbira beli reshit beli tachlit ve'lo ha'oz ve'hamisra ve'lo ha'oz ve'hamisra ve'hu eli ve'chai goali ve'tzur chavli b'heit sahara ve'hu nihisi u'manos li menat kosi beyom ekra menat kosi beyom ekra beyado afkid ruchi b'yet ishan ve'ahira Im ruchi geviati Adonai li velo ira Adonai li velo ira. And so, I want to invite you not to touch the challah or touch someone who's touching the challah, but extend our hands out. Our jazz hands, no, extend our hands out towards the challah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Would you like to cut the challah this week, Rich? See, this is the thing that comes with sitting right next to me. Shabbat shalom. And I want to invite you to join us for Kiddush. Shabbat shalom, everyone. You'll have to have your own Kiddush. Good Shabbos, good night. See you tomorrow. Nighty-night.